So, could you share with me the people who you think across your path have informed and shaped you most, Steve?
Oh, it's such an enormous question, and I barely know where to get started. So let's start at the beginning. I'll start with my parents.
Yeah.
My mum and dad come from very humble beginnings. Neither of them got the opportunity to finish school. They both left school at 16. They both went to work for the airlines because they hadn't had the opportunity to travel themselves, and that is what they wanted to do. So they both joined British Airways, worked for BA for their whole lives, and that gave them the opportunity to go to far-flung parts of the world. And they didn't use it to go on holiday to Mallorca. They used it to take us, even when we were very, very young, to India and Africa and South America. And they lived like proper nomads when we were on the road. And it instilled in both my sister and I this kind of ability to feel at home anywhere, to feel like you could be dropped in any foreign city with nothing more than a little itty bitty bag and it would be all right. You'd find a way to make it work, because my mum and dad always did. And they had a real, well, they still do now. I mean, they're in India right now, and they're in their late 80s.
Are they?
And
Are they really? What
they
they're
are,
doing there?
yeah. They kind of always take this portion of the year when it starts getting cold and miserable, and they're like, no, we're getting our backpacks on and we're off to India. And
Love it.
And I love the fact that they, instilled in us that you don't need a lot of money to be able to do this. In fact, if you do it right, you need barely any money. That you can, immerse yourself in culture, surround yourself with, animals, nature and people, and it can just bring so much colour and excitement to life. And I just love that they had the bravery to be able to do that. I mean, I now today, having spent my whole life doing that, still think twice about taking our 3 kids with a backpack and just heading off with no agenda, no hotel booked, nowhere that we're going to, and just thinking, we'll find a way, we'll make it work somehow. And
Yeah.
I love that about my
And they
mum
did
dad.
that, I mean, all those years ago, Steve. I mean, how
All
old would
those
you have
years
been
ago.
then?
So it started from literally baby in arms. So they took us, before we can remember. There are photos of us, on safari in Africa before my sister was born, when I was literally, smearing my face in my own poo. And they just
Nothing's
never stopped.
changed.
Yeah, they were kind of like, well, people have been living their lives when they've got babies since time immemorial. Why should it be any different now? And so they would be the first people that I, have so much to thank for, and their attitude.
Gift
and
of
things.
wanderlust, right?
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And they're just, I don't know, their desire to live life was, and still is, utterly inspiring. And then, it's so tempting to kind of like, launch into all of the obvious greats, the Jane Goodalls and Sylvia Earles and David Attenboroughs of this world. But actually the people that I find most inspiring are those that I meet on the ground who, for example, have set up their own project in West Java to save slow loris on their own, with no chance that they're ever going to get the slightest hint of glory or anything back from what they're doing other than saving that one animal. And they know that they're going to live with a life of battling to get even teeny tiny amounts of funding, but it is their passion, it is the thing that they are going to do, and they will sacrifice everything to make sure that that one animal has a future. And I get the opportunity to meet people like that all the time, almost every day when I'm on the road filming, and they're just amazing. I mean, some of them could be hard work because, they are so determined that they're going to do this, and that sometimes people are the least of their worries. But at the same time, the things they achieve, the things that they're willing to sacrifice, is so far and beyond, what I have done or would be prepared to do. And they are the people that I find. I'll give you one great example. One great example is a lass called Madison Stewart, who is she's an Australian, and in her mid-teens, she recognised that there was this horrible problem with shark fishing around the world. And she herself was an absolute shark fan. She's obsessed with sharks. So she said, right, well, that's it. I'm going to go out and do something about this. So she went out to Indonesia and she started living alongside shark fishermen. So she would go out on the boats with them. She'd learn about their lives, learn about the things that they needed from life and the things that they wanted, and realised that there was a really simple switch there, that she could get these shark fishermen to use their boats to take people out to go and see sharks instead of fishing for them. And she, through her sheer force of will, and at the time she was in her late teens, she'd never done anything, she managed to change a whole community around so that these shark fishermen all of a sudden were earning more money. They had a life that was much more sustainable because the sharks were, being protected and being taken care of. There were tourists coming in who were filled with this incredible passion and excitement about this project that was working, that was real conservation in action. It worked for everyone, from the fishermen to the tourists to the sharks. And it's just this beautiful, beautiful example of how one young person went, no, I'm going to do something about this, and went out and did it. And it just, you meet people like that and you're like, do you know what? We're going to be all right. There are people like Madison around. We will be okay.
We need a lot of Madisons right now,
We need a
don't we?
lot.